it's Lahan Ashraf. Today here in this channel, I'm going to talk about a rare neuropsychological syndrome which is caused due to the distortion of perception. This syndrome is known as Alice in Wonderland syndrome, and it is also known in other three names, which are Lilliputian hallucination, dysmetropsia, and Toad syndrome. The reason why the syndrome was named Alice in Wonderland syndrome is because this syndrome shares similarities with the novel The Adventures of Alice in Her Wonderland. And the reason why the syndrome was named Toad syndrome was because it was John Toad who discovered the syndrome. Then this Alice in Wonderland syndrome happens during a specific period of time, and it depends upon the patient. And during this phase of the syndrome, a person may experience micropsia, macropsia, telopsia, pelopsia, and metamorphopsia. If you guys don't know what these 5 things are, I will explain. Micropsia is the condition in which a person experiences or a person perceives objects smaller than they actually are. Macropsia is the condition in which a person experiences or perceives things larger than they actually are. Then we mentioned about telopsia and pelopsia. Telopsia is the condition in which a person perceives objects to be nearer than they actually are, and pelopsia is the condition in which a person perceives objects to be farther away than they actually are. Then the last one we mentioned was metamorphopsia. Metamorphopsia is the condition in which a person sees the blinds of straight line. A person sees the blinds of straight line to be wavy, or some of it may be blank. Okay. The other symptom that happens during this phase is that some people may feel like time is running so slow, or some may feel like time is running so fast. And when we move deeper into this Alice in Wonderland syndrome, we can understand that it is teenagers who suffers this the most. Now we are going to look at some of the information provided by the people who has this syndrome. A girl mentioned that for her, Alice in Wonderland syndrome started when she was just studying first standard, and one day when she was studying in her class, she noticed her teacher being really big, and she told this thing to her teacher, but the teacher took it in a wrong way. I think she had to go through detention for this thing. Later, she started to notice that these symptoms kept happening again and again. And she also mentioned that as a child, she used to have abnormal headache and migraine. And the symptoms that she had was size distortion. An example for size distortion was she used to see the garbage bin of her school being really massively big. Then she wasn't able to perceive color, and she used to see the blinds of the straight line being wavy, which we have talked before, and this condition is known as metamorphopsia. And for her, usually this phase only lasts for 15 to 20 minutes. She contacted many doctors, and one of the doctor told her to take an MRI, and found out that she has inflammation on her head. A 6-year-old boy mentioned that during the phase of the syndrome, he experiences macrosomatonosia, which means he sees one of the part of his body being really big, and for him this macrosomatonosia mostly affects in his hand and head. And another symptom that he experiences is that sometimes he feel like the time is running so fast, or sometimes he may feel like the time is running so slow. And for him, usually this Alice in Wonderland syndrome happens or occurs at evening and lasts till 15 to 20 minutes. According to Wikipedia, a 17-year-old boy mentioned that quite suddenly objects appear small and distant, or large and close. I feel as I'm getting shorter and smaller, shrinking, and also the size of person are no longer than my index finger. Sometimes I see the blind in the window or the television getting up and down, or my leg or arm is swinging. I may hear the voices of people quite loud and close, or faint and far. Occasionally I experience attacks of migraine headache associated with eye redness, flashes of lights, and a feeling of giddiness. I'm always conscious to the intangible changes in myself and my environment. So by knowing all of these things, we can easily say that Alice in Wonderland syndrome is happening due to the constitution of distortion of sensory perception rather than illusion or hallucination. The reason why I say rather than illusion or hallucination is because the doctors easily misinterpret this Alice in Wonderland syndrome with illusion or hallucination. When we talk about the treatment of Alice in Wonderland syndrome, let me just tell you, there are no treatments for Alice in Wonderland syndrome, and the only way is to get patients to be more comfortable during the phase of the syndrome and giving medications according to the symptoms of the people. Okay, so the reason why this distortion of perception is happening is maybe due to a brain tumor, migraine, temporal lobe epilepsy, psychoactive drug use, etc, etc. And that's it. So if you guys like my video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.